I did learn one of the biggest things I've learned in life is how to read people.
Yeah.
And that's an important asset. And there are two types of people in this world I've kind of brought it down to. They're givers and takers. I surround myself with givers. I know a taker in a half a second, and so that has been invaluable to me and how do I see people, and I can tell you, like, takers, all they do is want to know how you can help them.
Right.
And they don't ask you a single thing about yourself. Yeah. And there's narcissists and everything else, but in the end, be weary of people who will take from you.
I can't move the way I used to, had to call the audible. I put in the work, no humble flex. And talk of the town, you see who next. They on checkers, I'm on chess. Had to hit up with the X. XenHouse.
This is the XenHouse Podcast. We're here. This episode 43.
43.
Come on. Yeah, that's a great. I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you.
Troy or Ed Reed? Who you picking?
Troy or Ed Reed is different. But I'm going Troy. I'm going Troy without the injuries.
Okay.
Same.
I'm going Ed Reed.
Troy with
Ed Reed is dog, but Troy is
He's
just
different.
Yeah, he's changing. He's changing the game.
like the range, the
The power,
coming down,
the aggression.
Like, Ed Reed could do that, but not. I don't think not like Troy. Like
it's like you can't go wrong either way.
yeah.
I respect that. I'm going Ed though. It's your boy Des, the one and only.
It's your boy Adrian. Best athlete.
And Ross B.
Oh.
It's a new person. Ross B and Ross Bertrand, two different.
Really?
Two different people.
Yeah.
Two different people.
So who's here today?
Right now,
It's
it
Ross
sounds
B.
like
Ross B.
R&B singer.
So on today's episode, we have a special guest. You know what I mean? We met this guy actually through his son, right? We were training his kid. And when we opened up XenHouse, he approached us and he was always willing to give back, right? So like, that's just a good person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, anytime someone comes up to you and they're willing to help you in any way possible, right? Like, that's just a good person. You want to have people like that around you. He's a local guy, a lot of knowledge about business. You know what I mean? And you should always surround yourself with people that are not necessarily smarter than you, but can offer different points, right, in business. So today, on today's episode 43, Erik
Findeisen.
There you go. Erik Findeisen.
Welcome.
So
Thanks, boys.
welcome, Erik.
Thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, like, kind of where you grew up.
Sure.
How did you end up in Stanford, and some things that you got going on currently?
So I grew up in Huntington, Long Island, and family of 6 of us. My dad worked for the New York Telephone Company, climbed telephone poles for a living. We lived in a very blue collar neighborhood, but we had a great childhood. Everything was sports for us. My brothers and I, so I have 4 brothers, and my brothers and I, we battled it out all the time, whether it be,
I need to talk to him to figure out how to get these boys going.
Yeah, well, we battled it out. So my senior year in high school, I had 13 scholarships to play soccer across the country. I chose University of Bridgeport because it offered me the most money because I didn't have a nickel to go to school.
Right.
So I had a full scholarship there and then played there for 4 years. And national championships we were talking about in 1986. We lost 2-1 to Seattle Pacific, but it was a great experience. And then, it got me to move to Connecticut because, I really enjoyed, going to school here. Not necessarily Bridgeport, but, Connecticut. From there, started working in the city for many different companies. One was New York Magazine. And, I was an ad sales guy, so I traveled all over the city. And I remember learning perspective as an early guy. You get a lot of rejections when you are selling to small companies.
Absolutely.
And, they say, no, thank you, no, get out of here, beat it. And I remember feeling sorry for myself. And I was on 34th Street in Manhattan. and I looked out, and I was coming out, and I was like, man, I suck. I can't get, I can't sell anything. And then I see this guy, he's in a hot dog outfit with his head sticking out, handing out coupons.
Yeah.
And I said, at least I'm not that guy. So like perspective in life is important, and to appreciate what you have is important.
Right.
I didn't know about wealth until I went to college, because, I lived in a very much, a very insular, lower class, blue collar neighborhood. And then I saw all these people with money. And I said to myself, wow, I mean, how does that happen? And, I thought, well, if I work hard and, I can achieve anything I want, And so that's really where I started. I started in New York hustling, and then I worked for a company called Metromail, and then was a company called Experian, which is a credit agency.
Right.
I became their top sales guy. I hustled. I always wanted more, but I didn't know why. But I always wanted more. I always wanted to drive, and I was a competitive guy. Growing up with my brothers, so it was really that drove me. And then from there, married, the love of my life, my wife Lori. I have 4 kids. Live down in Japan Point. Have continued to work hard throughout the years. And then one day I said to myself, I'm working hard for somebody else.
Right.
And I said, let me start my own business. And I had my son Graham was 2 years old. My kids were young, and I left a really, really good job, making very good money, to start my business. And I said to myself, if I fail, I could always go back.
Yep.
But, failure wasn't an option when you come home. As you guys see, you come home to your families, you're like, I cannot fail. Right. And so, first couple of years of the business is very tough. There are a lot of times when you go into bed thinking, how am I going to pay this bill, or the cash flow, or like, why is this person not paying me? And, but I had a business partner, and it was one of my closest friends, Matt Burke. He was actually a football player. He played tight end for Dartmouth, and big, I call fleshy-headed Irishman. He's like 6'4", 6'5". And, he was my business partner, but also my best friend. And when we started our business, we set a bunch of principles down on paper of how we want to conduct ourselves. Always put the customer first, always do the right thing. Even if it's a quick dollar, don't take the dollar, do the right thing, and, set of principles that drive you as a person, but also in your business. And I see it in XenHouse as well, is that you guys are very principled guys, and that's going to be a huge part of your success.
Absolutely.
So started our business 20 years ago. It was a data business, so we know everything about John Smith at 123 Main Street. We sell that to the U.S. government, financial services, all types of folks. But, as I was going on, I saw opportunities in other industries to invest.
Right.
And I said to myself, the biggest thing in life is to try to diversify yourself. Don't be, a single, motion. And that was really key, because I bought into other businesses. I bought into, businesses I had nothing even remotely associated with. And some of them failed, some of them succeeded. And, that was a catalyst for me to be successful.
Absolutely.
Is to think outside the box, take risks, calculated risks, and don't be afraid to fail. Like I tell my kids I fail 10 times before noon, but I succeed in the afternoon.
Yep. Wow.
And
we gotta use that one. That's a good one.
And you know what? Don't be afraid to back up on the wrong street, right? Mm-hmm. Because in the end, the ability to do that is better than driving it into the ground.
Yep. Right.
So there's a lot of things I learned, but I did learn one of the biggest things I've learned in life is how to read people.
Yeah.
And that's an important asset. And there are 2 types of people in this world I've kind of brought it down to. They're givers and takers. I surround myself with givers. Right. I know a taker in a half a second, and so that has been invaluable to me. And how do I see people, and I can tell you, like, takers, all they do is want to know how you can help them.
Right.
And they don't ask you a single thing about yourself.
Yep.
And there's narcissists and everything else, but in the end, be weary of people who will take from you because they'll bring you down. So that's the thing I've learned.
Yeah.
The takers, you just get rid of them. And sometimes it's tough, right? But you have to be true to yourself and just say, hey, listen, in the end, these guys are not giving me value, and they're not bringing good things in my life.
Right.
So, and the other thing is be humble.
Always.
And kind.
Yep.
And if you can be humble and kind, you're going to kill it in this world.
Absolutely. So on the piece of you having Graham, right, at 2 years old and taking a huge risk, right, for us, not Des yet, but for us, Alex had already had Lainey, and Lainey was a year
Not
and
even a year. It was probably, what was it, 2019?
2019. Yeah, 2019 going into 2020.
Yeah, so she was like a few months.
She was a few months. That's his first daughter. And right at 2020, obviously everything shut down, right? So we took a major risk. We quit our job, and we started training outside on the fields and at Rippewam.
Yeah.
And during that time is when we kind of started, like thinking about doing XenHouse, right? Like this was it for us.
Mm-hmm.
And like that probably was the hardest part of my life, was trying to decide, all right, should I quit this job and get started with my boys and take this huge risk? Or should I kind of stay there and be the same kind of person? And in 2020, I had just got married in 2018, 2020. We started XenHouse. I had just bought a home and my wife was pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
So the panic level, my panic level and uncomfortable level was at an ultimate high. You know what I mean? So like when you took that risk, did your wife support you in that?
Yeah.
At that time?
Yeah, you have to have somebody, right next to you. My wife has been my rock my whole life, just recently, after some health issues. But I will tell you that you're all athletes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a former athlete. And you take risks all the time to get better.
Absolutely.
Being uncomfortable is a good thing.
Yep.
Being uncomfortable is where you grow, right?
Yep.
And you know what? If you do get comfortable, you got to smack yourself in the head and say, okay, how do I get to the next level? How do I do this? And it's not about like, it's always the journey, never the destination. Like you're here, but like, what's my next journey? And how and who are the people on my journey?
Right.
And like you had a lot of pressure on you. I had a lot of pressure. You had a lot of pressure. You had a lot of pressure. Everyone has pressure differently.
Right.
But it's all how you engage that pressure. Like I never thought about it because I think if you ever think about all the things that could go wrong, you'd lose your mind.
Yeah.
The more you worry, the more likely it is to happen.
It's almost fulfilling. If you worry that these things will happen, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if you ever saw this cartoon. I'm an older guy, but Mr. Magoo, when he was, so he was a blind guy who would just walk off one beam to the next, and he was always, you think, oh my God, he's going to fall, but he'd land on the next beam.
Yep.
And I'm Mr. Magoo. Like I walk off one beam to the next, and sometimes, I fall, sometimes I don't, but like in the end, I'm going to keep on walking on those beams because that's life,
Right.
And it's you guys know it well. This is a tough business. It's competitive. It's you have 3 mouths to feed per se, and it's never an easy win because you're always looking for that next client,
Right.
the next opportunity or whatever. But it's what you guys put into it. You are the brand, and you have to protect that brand, and you have to nurture that brand, and you have to be that brand. And that's a tough thing. Like, think about this. I look at people almost like stocks. Sometimes they shoot up, sometimes they shoot down. Yep. But you got to protect that company.
Absolutely.
You got to protect that brand. And I've only heard amazing things about you guys.
We appreciate
and that's, the best brand that you can have, right?
Yep.
You can go out and try to drive business to this through multi-channel marketing or whatever things. You can do that, but it's really word of mouth and guerrilla marketing. That's how brands are built, right? And like people come in and like you might not know this person, but like they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them. And I have to tell you, sometimes the best clients are the clients you don't take too. But I tell you, I'm wildly impressed about how well you guys have done.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So for those, I mean, you guys know, but Erik would just pop in sometimes. We were right last week. We were just like in here. Erik just popped in. Hey guys,
That's what we want. That's why we keep our doors open.
Yeah.
We want people to come by, show face. We haven't seen you in 10 years. Come by. We haven't seen you in 3 months. Come by.
Don't think we're trying to train you either.
No.
Like, come in and say hi. We're not trying to.
Shaheem Richards, he comes by, he just walks in. He brings food sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shaheem. But
Appreciate you.
just come by. The doors are always open. That's why we're here.
I just want to rewind real quick how we got connected. So we trained Graham, which is his son. I got Graham when he was transitioning from soccer to football. So football was new to him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that good. And I don't know if you know this, but he came for a few sessions. He's like, my dad doesn't know I'm playing football. Don't tell him. He's like, I want to play football. I don't want to play soccer anymore. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Then a few sessions go by and he's like, if my dad asks you, you got to tell him playing soccer. I said, Graham, that's where the line is drawn. I said, I'm not lying to your dad. I'm not getting into your thing.
Charades.
Yeah, I'm not playing that game. But he knew he wanted to play football and he stayed consistent with it. And I'm happy to hear
he's incredibly passionate about it. You know, he gave a PowerPoint presentation to me when he was in 9th grade of why he should play football. And I was like, I can't say no. I said 1 year. And then at the end, you know, he had a really good season his freshman year or whatever. The coach at the end of the year say to me, hey, you got to let your son play. Like, he set me up. Like, he said, Dad, come meet the coach. And I'm like, oh, killing me.
He knew what he was doing.
You got to give him props.
He learned that from somewhere.
He got it from me. He's got the drive and he's got the ambition, right? Like, can you really blame him? But why didn't you want him to play football?
Just head injuries. You know, what I see today. Listen,
more in soccer.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. You know, I got beaten up in soccer. I had many different breaks and stuff. But, you know, in the end, he's passionate, and I would never stop someone whose passion is there. And he's driven. And you know what? You take that aspect of, and this is true to you, gentlemen, is like you take the aspect of being driven, right? Whether it's athletes or sports, you have a discipline.
Absolutely.
And you execute on that discipline. And that's what you've done here. Like, think about that. You're disciplined to train. You're disciplined to execute. I mean, the levels of where you guys have all played, you don't get there without execution, discipline, and focus.
Absolutely.
And also, it goes to show, Graham started playing football 4 years ago. Now he's getting recruited to play.
Yeah.
It says something.
Yeah.
Work ethic.
Yeah. It's not an overnight thing. It's a everyday being consistent, being passionate.
Trust in the process.
And now he's getting recruited. Because when I was training him, he was not getting recruited by anybody.
Yeah.
Now, he's going. You know, he's in the conversation.
He's you know, if I hear him in the garage with a tennis ball, like he does 100 tennis balls. You know that. When during COVID, I was throwing 100 balls a day. You know, and I was like, all right, maybe we should get one of those machines. You know, but you know, in the end, it takes from being an athlete to the next level of business or life or family or whatever it is, because you guys apply that.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I would hire sales guys that were athletes. I didn't care about their GPAs because I knew that they were competitive. I knew that they didn't like to lose. And I knew that if given the opportunity, they'd be aggressive, you know, so.
They're social.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, I think, for us. You know what I mean? Like, everything that we've kind of grew up on and built XenHouse out of is us being social beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're people's people.
Yep.
You know, we're people's persons, and we enjoy having conversations with people before, like authentic conversations. Because naturally you speak to anyone that comes in, right? But like, we actually get to know.
We want to get to know people because if you don't invest that time, you're not going to get that out of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, no one's going to trust you to, you know, back squat 300 pounds and their max is 180. And if they don't trust you, they're not going to give you that effort.
Right.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we get into that world of, you know, being able to trust us, and we're going to trust you to the point where some of our athletes come in, they know the warm up, but they don't need us to walk them through it.
Yeah.
They go right through it. If they come even earlier, they know to roll out first.
Yeah.
Do the warm up, we get right to work.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of things that we want to build here. And that's why we, you know, it works for all of us because we ingrain that in all our clients.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Like coming in, if you're in middle school, prepare to be a high schooler.
Yeah.
If you're in high school, prepare to be a college athlete. College, prepare to be a pro.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we try to prepare everybody to be a pro, but ideally, we just want everybody to be better.
So I'm talking to one of my younger son plays Iona football. My youngest.
Iona Prep.
Yeah. And there's a kid, he's a Haitian kid from Stanford. His name is Dalton. He's 6'4".
The lineman.
Yeah.
D-lineman,
250.
Played on the Spartans.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Big boy. And he's 15 years old.
Yep.
And so I pick him up from the school a lot. I give him rides home and, give him rides all the time. And so when I get him in the car, I said to him, first thing I say, is like, got to get your grades, because he was slacking in when he was at West Hill.
Mm-hmm.
He knows it. But, he looks at and says, Graham's got a great work ethic. I said, you have a God's gift. Now you got to get the gift of work ethic.
Yeah.
So like you probably see natural athletes. I don't know if there's a natural athlete aspect, but kids that are more athletic or more coordinated.
Right.
But like, how do you as a group give them the drive?
I think
Hold
the
them
biggest thing, right, for like, I'll base it off of what I do, is like you create structure, right? And you give them like a list of things to do, not necessarily just him, but we teach them, right, how to build it from ground up.
Yeah.
Right. So you start with the base. That's first and foremost. Then you go to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. But some people, right, like us right now, you could give us everything and we'll know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah.
But not everyone works like that.
Yeah.
Some people need it in pieces.
Yeah, they chunk
right?
it up.
In steps. So like you may be able to, I might give you a business and you can start it from the ground up. But not everyone can do that, And it could be a person who's the same age as you. It could be someone who's a little bit younger than you or older than you. It's just we're not at the same level.
Yeah.
So it's all about like steps.
Yeah.
Right.
For me personally, I think it depends on the person because there's certain people that you tell them something one time, they get it and they can act on it. There's certain people that you have to say multiple times. Then when that happens, you go, okay, I got to deliver it a different way. So that's our challenge too.
Delivery.
So with me, I see an athlete that is a good athlete. To get them to try hard and to work hard, I have to figure out a way to show them that it's not enough what they have. You have to apply this other part to it to really be great. Mm-hmm. So figuring out how to show them, whether I show them on film or I'll record them, and I'll be like, was that your fastest? They'll be like, no. I'm like, your fastest has to be your norm when you practice to see results.
Yeah.
Because everyone is fast when they want to be,
Right.
but can you be fast consistently every play?
For 100 plays.
It starts with this. So it's stuff like that where I get them to really buy into it. It's more mental out. All the new clients we get when they come in, oh, my kid is slow. I'm like, your kid isn't slow. Your kid doesn't know how to be fast mentally.
Yeah.
So that's where we attack the mental aspect.
They don't know how to apply being fast here and then like doing it on the field.
Yeah.
We have so many parents that kind of say that. When we see the videos, they look like this. And then when they go on the field, they don't look like this. Like one dad just texted me last week. We're not going to say any names, but he's like, she's in season right now. But during the summer when she was at club, she was coming to you consistently. She was a different person. Now it's like she needs you mentally. And I'm like, she does, but she doesn't. You know, like we've been training long enough that she should know how to apply it. But sometimes they need the reassurance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we come in, is kind of like, hey, you already have this. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now I'm starting to realize that as a parent, like when it comes from the parent, sometimes it means it means nothing.
Yeah.
They
But
want
when
to
it
hear from
comes
someone else.
well, I know that from my wife, right? Alex.
Yeah.
I know.
Boy.
For me, I'm a combination of them, but I'm also very, I can be aggressive at times. I feel like people are very comfortable and they like to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We don't like to be comfortable. We like to be comfortable, we don't. So we're always trying to find something that's going to make us better.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that.
But Alex, how do you teach that? Like so
So this is what I'm going to next. So with our athletes, and just not even athletes, clients, when you walk in here, your job starts from the ground up, like Ross is saying, when it comes to stages. If athletes that live in Darien and Greenwich, New Canaan, they're so used to being in their own little bubble that when they come here, they think they're in that bubble still. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You come here, you're introducing yourself to everyone.
Yeah.
You're getting out of your comfort zone.
Everybody in the room too. If
Everyone.
it's other kids,
If there are other
introduce
kids,
yourself to everyone.
yeah, make
you're
it
introducing
Yeah.
yourself, right? So that's one. That's a little form of like, okay, I can do this. Then they start doing it on their own. Then from there, it goes to, I can't do 5 push-ups. Okay, give me 2, but go down slow. If you learn how to go down slow, you can push yourself back up.
Yeah.
Then they can do 2. Then they're like, oh crap, I can do 2 push-ups.
But I'm gonna cut you off too. If you come in talking about what I can't do, we have a problem right there.
we
don't talk.
we don't do that.
We don't speak that.
We tell them to walk out, come back in, and say, I got this.
Yeah.
I'll redo that. It's a little bit of the mindset stages, but then for me, most people don't like to get that button pushed.
Yeah.
So if we're able to push that button and you realize it's happening, then we won.
Yeah.
We've helped you fix that issue where you can find that dog. But again, I go back to society and people, everyone wants to sugarcoat and give you a pat on the back.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Life doesn't do that for you. And we are the ones that are doing what some parents need to do and what some coaches don't want to do because they don't want to get fired.
Yeah.
We're okay. If you want to leave us, bye.
Yeah.
We have people waiting to come in, which is okay. But our goal is to make you better than what you did coming in here.
Yep.
So we're going to make sure we set that standard for you. So we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be assertive. But also we want you to understand this isn't coming from you just pay us your money
Yeah.
and then you're going to train, make you look good. No.
Yeah.
We need
It's
more
mind,
than
body,
that.
and soul in here.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's not that, you're wasting your time and our time, and we're going to have to talk about that. And if we got to go separate ways, we'll go separate ways.
It's all about being intentional.
Yeah.
Think about all the times where you trained. You could think back to when you played soccer.
Yeah.
How many times you went through practice and you just gotta get through practice.
Yeah, let me get through it
And
now.
you're
and I
not
can go
really
hang out
dialed
with this
in
girl.
and into the drill,
Yeah.
going the fastest you can and really taking it in. Okay, I need to work on this. Like most kids aren't intentional.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't. I was just going through the flow.
Yep.
I didn't know better. Now we're passing that on. Be intentional in practice. Be locked in. Don't be thinking about, I can't wait to go play PlayStation or homework. Or be locked in, intentional. And I think that helps as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big differences between us and other facilities. We don't like to compare ourselves to other facilities, by the way. We like to focus on what we're doing.
Sure.
Because the moment we focus on other people is when we lose our craft.
Taken away
totally
from
agree.
us. Yeah.
But what I see on social media is a lot of places rather show the amount of kids or the weight that a kid is doing, but it's incorrect.
Yeah.
So they're not coaching. So they're so worried about getting the content, but not teaching that individual person how to do it correctly. So later on, they might not get hurt now, but later they do.
Unfortunately, it's the way of the world today.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
It's,
But
it's-
we don't want to
everything.
do that. We don't go that
yeah.
route. We try to make sure, you're learning that it's not about the end result. It's the process, what you talked about. My coach always said in college, enjoy the battle.
Yeah.
Enjoy the process because the outcome is going to be short-lived. You're going to have another obstacle to go and work through. So if you don't enjoy, like to be in that uncomfortable position where you're like, okay, I have to do this to do this,
Yeah.
you're going to be stuck.
Yeah. So, moving forward. So you talked about you didn't want to work. You didn't want to work for someone else. You wanted to build yourself up. From there, what was the first business you opened up?
So it was FC Data. And it was a data company. I worked at the time corporately. I worked for Experian. I ran their North American practice and sales, and it was a great gig. First class tickets, everything else. So my business partner and I said, let's start it. And then I had young kids, and I had my wife supporting me. And basically, when I went out, I said, you know what? I'm going to try to be the best I can and bring the best breed to my clients. So not just one, I'm not representing one company, I'm representing every company. And I became a data broker. So I took data assets from all over the world and I brought them in. We collated them, built these databases, and then we sold them, licensed them. And I followed the money at first. And then I followed the value that I was bringing. Because I thought, money's great, but it's not going to be long term. It's transactional. So I didn't want to be a transactional guy. I wanted to be a guy for my clients that I have clients 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's great. And they're my friends. They become my friends. They become part of my family. They're my people I go to. And people say, my kids say, so Dad, what do? You always call up your friends and you make money. They say, I said, no. I call my friends to try to help them. And if I make money in the meantime, it's great.
That's great.
So my job became, my passion, my life. And now I'm kind of on the tail end of it and retiring. So that business I still have. And I have my partners, Matt Burke, as well. And it's been a great run. But, I've had some health issues and I see that I definitely don't want to be working full time as much anymore. I want to travel more. I want to
enjoy life.
Yeah, well, I've always have, but really enjoy life. Yeah. So, but that was my first business, and then I got into other businesses as well.
Okay, so from that, right? How did you then get onto Half Full?
So after a certain period of time, I started volunteering my time to help young entrepreneurs. And with that, I also help them raise money. Okay, so Connor Horrigan, who started Half Full, he came to me years ago and said, hey, I've got this beer business and we're getting it up and going. And I said, sure, let me help you. And he's a very smart guy. He's a financial guy. But he didn't know necessarily how to build a small business.
Right.
And so I helped him kind of structure that. I helped him raise money. And, they built the brand, and over the years, the brand has grown and has done well.
But them in those stages.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that I said, I'm fortunate enough to have people help me when I first started, but now I need to give back. And it's one of those things that you will pay it forward as well. And I know you three are probably paying it forward already, but you pay it forward. And I think God's got a plan for you when he does that. And I say, God, I'm a more spiritual person than religious. I don't tend to believe that you need to go to church to talk to God,
Absolutely.
Right? So, but in any event, I think that was my purpose here, is to give back. And I enjoy every minute of it,
Absolutely.
So that was how I started with Connor and other folks that I helped.
You definitely pay it forward. I mean, I've always gotten some help when I was younger, and now we're in the business of giving back.
Yeah.
Like my first job, I told these guys, I got hired, I went, I sat down, and I left. I quit. Literally under 10 minutes, quit. Right back up, Eric. I'm out of there. So you
Why?
really have to. I just didn't enjoy it. I wasn't passionate about it.
Yeah.
I didn't see myself enjoying it. I was in a box and I was used to always being out, with my friends and playing football and being outside, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out how I can help others.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you went to Half Full. You helped Connor. So how did you connect that and being the commissioner of the police department?
So I helped Caroline Simmons run for mayor.
Okay.
I saw her as a person who is young, vibrant, and can bring a lot of energy to the city, and she has. Yep. She's done a phenomenal job. And so I helped her get elected, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, Erik, are you interested in serving on this police commission?" At first, I was like, I don't know if that's for me, because I didn't want my brand to be involved in like controversy. Like what happens if another Ferguson happens, or like, although I will say Stanford's a totally different city, and the PD is different, and they're great guys, and we have such diversity on the PD too.
Absolutely.
But all you need is one bad egg, but so I said, listen, I urged her to run. So now it's my job to support her because she asked me. So, and I did, and I love it. I love it. Being a police commissioner, we hire, we fire, we promote, we discipline, and fortunately, I haven't had many discipline or firings, but we hired 17 new officers. We are the safest city in New England.
Yep.
We have more, unfortunately, traffic deaths than homicides.
Yep.
But they're a great bunch of people, and it opened up my eyes to something that I never would have seen, and I'm fortunate for it because I've met some really great people.
Yep, we have a couple of our buddies that work for the Stanford Police Department actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they enjoy it.
We just hired 2 new Haitian officers to kind of represent the Haitian community.
Yep.
And it's good to see, because now I go out, and the guys and the gals that we hired, I see out patrolling now. So now I feel like, when you're doing something, and you really, sometimes you can't, like I love to power wash. Now I can get people to power wash, but I love to power wash because I see the result. Right? It's like it's 101, but like when you see the results, I'm sure like when your athletes get the scholarships, get the offers, get this, it's your win as well.
Yeah.
So it's like I see a win out of that. So and my biggest thing is enjoying helping people and seeing people succeed, because in the end, I've reached my levels that I wanted to do, and now I want to help other people reach those levels. So.
Absolutely.
I think it's that time,
It's that time, Erik.
We got questions, and we need answers. So we just got to shoot some rapid questions at you, and you just answer to the best of your ability. All right, first and foremost, you were an athlete, you got your scholarship, you play soccer. Who's a better athlete, Graham or yourself when you was his age?
Hands down, me.
You back then?
Oh, yeah.
You could take them?
Oh, my God, in like a heartbeat.
Okay, Graham, you hear that? You have 24 hours to respond.
We need a video.
After that, since you're on that, are you taking Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi, all day.
Messi all day.
All day.
I would pick Messi.
All day. You know what? He's his touch on the ball and his touch off the ball is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He can move in ways I've never seen people move and accelerate. Yeah. Like he can be here and all of a sudden
he's really quick.
And he reads the game. Like you see things and you're like, how the hell did he see that?
You see that, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, my college roommate is the CEO and president of Toronto MISL team. And his name is Billy Manning. He's a very famous guy up in the thing. He won two MISL championships, one with Salt Lake and one with Toronto. And so when Messi came over, I texted Billy. I said, "What's up? You can't get Messi?" And he just said two responses: Toronto, Miami.
Where are you gonna go, right?
Yeah. So and it's funny, interesting. He told me like we had dinner at a charity event not so long ago, and he told me that he brought on a big Italian player. He paid like $16 million for, and he said, they'll either fire me or the league will follow.
Right.
And the league followed.
They followed.
And like the reason why Toronto was open to it because they own the Raptors too. So they knew that you have to pay players to do it. So.
Yeah. Next question. If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, one piece, what would it be?
That's a great question. I would say don't sweat the small stuff because it is very small. Don't stress out over things that you have no control over. And, always be kind and humble. That's what I would say.
Yeah. What's the most important lesson you've learned over your career so far?
Friendships and how they are with you when you least expect it. So I had a triple bypass recently, and people that came to support me surprised me.
Yeah.
So friendships are things that I treasure the most, and family, obviously.
Yeah.
It's forever lasting. Some friends might support you more than your family.
Yeah, true.
So did that kind of give you like a boost of energy, seeing those that you didn't think would be there for you?
Yeah.
Kind of show up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you just never know in life. Like, so when I had this triple bypass, a week later, I was in the hospital, in the doctor's office, and I had a heart attack to follow this. So when you get a triple bypass, you're never supposed to have a heart attack afterwards. And so I had a heart attack, and I was, they were running me to the ER because I was in that building that connects to Stanford Hospital.
Yep.
And they're cutting my clothes off me. They're giving nitroglycerin under my tongue. And basically what happened was I had a peace come over me. So I'm in an ER room with chaos. And I was like, if this is it, I'm okay with it, right? And, it's whether a higher power or whatever. But you appreciate things differently when you go through something like that. Yep. And I will tell you that when I woke up and I was alive, I was happy, boys, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's changed me dramatically, and I am totally a blessed man, but I feel that I'm here on this planet for a reason and a purpose, and just to give back. So anyway, that helps.
That was a great answer. I probably know what it is now, but what is your biggest fear?
Biggest fear?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to die, which is most people's biggest fear.
Yep.
I've made peace with that. My biggest fear is the safety and welfare of my children and my wife. Just that they're healthy and they're happy. That's as when you become parents, and you will, I'm sure soon. Not a lot of pressure on you, but anyway. But what I would say is that your worries become your children, and you constantly worry, and it doesn't end when they're 22 or 20 or 18, because you want the best for them, and you realize you cannot protect them from the world as how you would like to.
Yeah. That makes sense. I don't think, to side off of that, I don't think I've ever asked you your biggest fear. What's your biggest fear?
It's honestly, since I've had Rory, that's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
It's like, what is she gonna become, right? So right now, it's like, it's easy, right? Because she's under my roof. Like, we get to kind of navigate and control what she does, right? But like at 15, 16, 18, 20, what is Rory gonna do, right, when she's not around us? Like, who is she gonna be? What kind of human being is she gonna be? Like, you don't think it's gonna be a thing until you become a parent, and then you start realizing, all right, now this is why my pops was worried when I was out at 2 a.m. running around on Merle Live. You know what I'm saying?
That's a whole nother discussion.
It's different. It's different.
Same thing with you?
I'm same boat. My biggest thing is, did I leave them enough, and did I teach them enough? Those two.
Yeah.
I think about that because I think about, me and my cousin, we were close. He never got the chance to have kids. So for me, the moment everyone's like, oh, you got 3 kids. I'm like, I'm blessed to another level. But at the same time, everyone's like, aren't you stressed? That's not the stress the chaos. I love that chaos. I'm used to that. I know at some point it's going to be gone when they go to college and stuff. So the house is going to be empty. But right now, I want to make sure I'm teaching them how to be great people. Like,
they will surprise you.
Yeah, I know they will. But right now, it's chaos.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's hard to see right now.
But I just want to make sure that they understand, like,
Yeah.
When I know I'm going to go at some point, but I want to make sure they understand that their father loves them unconditionally.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they know like everything I'm doing now, it's to make sure them and their kids and their kids are set.
Yeah. And you'll
keep
see,
that
you'll see as
foundation.
they get older. I have great conversations with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, like Graham and I drove up 3 hours. We're talking football. We're talking life. We're talking things. And, you know, he's like my wingman, you know? And the thing is, though, it's a fine line between being a parent and being a friend. Like, you can't be a friend to your kids. You have to be a parent.
Absolutely.
And,
We
and that's a tough thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's tough love. You know, and like I give my kids no quarter. Like when I say no quarter, like I'll tell you a quick thing. My daughter, she was, you know, I grew up with all boys. My daughter's going through her period when she was like 13 or whatever, and like she was giving lip at the table, and like I didn't care if she had hormones were changing, but I didn't realize how my wife had to straighten me out. But you know, I was like, that's not going to fly. You don't treat people like that. I don't care what's going on. You're not going to fly. And it was a strain between my daughter and I for a little bit, because she was my best friend on my hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Amazing.
and
You
didn't understand that part of
and
it.
I didn't understand it. And as a dad, you learn things, and I now I do. And now when I drop her off in St. Louis, where she goes to school at WashU, you know, she is a grown woman who has got all the great tools, and I'm so proud of her. But to your point, I miss him to death.
Yeah.
You know, I miss him to death. But you know, you got to let him fly.
Yeah. I don't have any kids yet, but I'm on the other side of it. I feel like you said, I'm not afraid to die, but I feel like there's a lot of unfinished business I have going on here in all aspects. So that's my biggest fear, is leaving before I can get stuff done, which involves having kids, you know, having a life with my new wife, showing my parents, you know, what they created and great things that I can be able to do.
Yeah.
And another biggest fear is when I'm gone, I know it will hurt a lot of people, and I would want people to be able to know I'm good and to move on and live, you know? So that's probably my two biggest fears in regards to that. But yeah, it's just something to think about. Some people don't.
You're all leaving a legacy on this world, right?
Yeah,
whether it's through your children, through this business, through your friends, and that's what we leave.
Yeah.
And just be proud of that legacy.
Most definitely. And lastly, last question: when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a true giver in life, someone who gave without expectations, without. I wanted to be known as a great father, a great husband, and a great friend. And those, if I can achieve those three things in life, I think I've already won, right? I will tell you, it doesn't matter what you do for your job and everything else. In the end, we leave this world what we came in with, nothing.
Absolutely.
You know, and I look at my dad. He was very, I could say, cheap. He didn't have much money. He didn't, and he was always worried about money. And, he left this world with the same thing he came in with, not a lot of money. And I wish for him that he would have seen us. I'm sure now he's looking down at me, smiling, saying it's not about money. But, if I could give any piece of advice to you three guys, is don't worry about the money. The money will follow. What's important is you three, your families, your friends, things. And time. I just have a friend of mine who's a very good friend who was diagnosed with a brain tumor that's inoperable, and he has months to live. And he's on the tail end, and he's dying now. And he's the happiest guy I've ever seen. We're joking, we're out. He's worried about everyone else, but he's happy.
Right.
Most people would take a diagnosis like that and not be happy, but he is extremely happy. So, when you go home and you see your kids and your family, think about just being happy and being, enjoying the moment, the time, and because you never get that back.
Yep.
And so,
Absolutely.
like this, I'm enjoying this time talking to you guys, right?
Of course.
You know what? That's life, you know?
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
With that being said, that's a great way to end it right there.
Erik, we appreciate you for coming in, taking the time to talk to us, give us some gems, and we're signing out. Episode 43.
Episode
43 is
43.
out.
Eric,
Out.
thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Peace and love.
XenHouse, yeah. XenHouse, yeah.